Run a full background, cross-reference with witness protection cases, U.S. prosecutions 7 years back. You think I think she ran halfway across the world and her past just followed her here. Min-jun's voice was ice. Find out everything. I need to know what's coming. In her apartment window, Zara's shadow disappeared. Min-jun smiled without humor. Let them come. Let her past try to find her. They'd have to go through him first. Victor Volkov landed in Seoul 2 days ago. Zara Williams didn't know it yet, but her past had just caught up with her future. And the man watching her apartment from a black Mercedes, he wasn't letting her disappear. Not this time. Part 1 ended with 3 words that shattered a king. I see nothing. Zara quit, walked away, went home to pack her bags and do what she'd done for 7 years, run. But Kang Min-jun had already made his decision. She could refuse to see him. She could deny his existence. She could quit her job and try to vanish into the night. What she couldn't do was leave. Min-jun hadn't been afraid of anything in over a decade, but because he knew exactly what it meant when a Russian tracker showed up in your city, someone was hunting, and they were close. By dawn, Min-jun hadn't moved from his car, parked across from her building, watching her window, waiting for movement, for a sign she was still inside, still safe. At 2:47 a.m., her lights finally went out. At 2:51 a.m., another car pulled onto the street. Dark sedan, tinted windows, driver's side door opened, man in his 50s, salt and pepper hair, long coat, walking with the kind of confidence that came from never failing a job. Victor Volkov had found her, and he was heading for her building. Min-jun was out of his car before he'd made the conscious decision to move. Up the stairs, down the hallway, heart hammering in a way that had nothing to do with exertion and everything to do with the realization that he was about to force his way into the life of a woman who'd spent 7 years learning to be invisible. He stopped outside her door, number 4C. He could hear movement inside, frantic. She knew someone was coming. He knocked, controlled, urgent. Silence. Then her voice, barely audible through the door. Go away. I know you're awake, and I know he's here. You have 2 choices. Open this door, or I break it down. Pause. You have 10 seconds. He heard the deadbolt slide, the chain rattle, the door crack open. And for the first time since that night at Eclipse, Zara Williams looked directly at Min-jun. Really looked. Eyes meeting his, deliberately, consciously. She was terrified. But she'd opened the door. She'd chosen to let him in. What happened next, at 3 a.m. in a tiny apartment with a Russian tracker in the building and a Mafia boss in her doorway, would change everything. There would be confessions, there would be danger, there would be a first touch that felt like lightning, a first kiss that tasted like desperation and hope. And there would be a betrayal neither of them saw coming. This is part 2. What he did at 3 a.m. And trust me, you're not ready. Kindly like and subscribe if you haven't already. Victor Volkov didn't believe in luck. He believed in patterns. And after 23 years tracking people who thought they could disappear, he'd learned that everyone left a pattern. You just had to know where to look. He sat in a rented Hyundai across from a 4th-floor apartment in a neighborhood that tried too hard to be forgettable. Window 4C. Lights still on at 2:35 a.m. She wasn't sleeping. Good. Guilt does that. Keeps you awake. Makes you sloppy. 7 years ago, Zara Williams, though that wasn't her name then, made the mistake of working the closing shift at Bella Nota, an Italian restaurant in Chicago's West Loop. High-end place, the kind where politicians and businessmen went to make deals they didn't want recorded. She was 19, efficient, invisible in the way good servers are, which is why she was still wiping down tables when Dmitry Morozov walked in through the kitchen entrance at 11:47 p.m. with 3 of his men and a 4th man who was begging. She'd frozen behind the bar, watched through the reflection in a wine glass as Dmitry Morozov put 2 bullets in the begging man's head, watched them wrap the body, watched them leave. Then she'd done the stupidest thing possible. She'd called the police. Morozov paid the right people. Case dismissed. Insufficient evidence. but the girl had already testified, had already been placed in witness protection, had already become a problem that needed solving. That's where Victor came in. He'd found her first identity in 8 months, tracked her to a diner in Denver. She'd seen him coming, good instincts, he'll give her that, and disappeared before he could make contact. New name, new city. San Francisco next, cocktail waitress at a hotel bar. He'd been 1 day away from cornering her when she vanished again. Impressive. Most people cracked by the second relocation. But she was smart. Stayed in service industry jobs, places with cash tips and high turnover. Never stayed long enough to make real friends. Never put down roots. Seoul was ambitious, though. Smart. Most people ran to small towns. She ran to one of the busiest cities in Asia. Different language, different culture. Harder for someone like him to blend in. Except he'd been doing this for 2 decades. He could blend in anywhere. He tracked her through a series of bank transfers. Witness protection paid monthly stipends if you knew the routing patterns, and found Eclipse 3 days after she started there. But he watched first, studied her routine, learned her patterns. Then something interesting happened. The owner started watching her too, not the way Victor watched, clinical, patient, the way a starving man watches food, obsessive, dangerous. Victor had done his research. Kang Min-jun, Korean Mafia, controlled half the criminal infrastructure in Seoul, the kind of man who made problems disappear. So Zara Williams had accidentally caught the attention of the exact wrong person, or exactly the right one, depending on how Victor played this. He checked his watch, 2:43 a.m., time to make contact. He opened his car door, straightened his coat. Across the street, he didn't notice the black Mercedes 3 cars down, didn't see the man inside watching the same window he'd been watching, didn't know that the most dangerous person in Seoul had just decided Zara Williams was worth starting a war over. Victor walked towards the building, already planning his approach. He didn't hear the second car door open behind him.
Min-jun had been sitting in the same position for 6 hours. Same car, same street, same window. His spine ached, his eyes burned. He didn't move. At 7:14 a.m., Ji-woo appeared at the passenger window with 2 coffees and the expression of a man who'd been awake all night pulling files. He slid into the seat without asking permission. Viktor Volkov, 53, former FSB before he went private, specializes in long-term tracking. He's found 12 people in witness protection over the last decade. Ji-woo handed over a folder. He doesn't fail, boss, ever. Once he has a target, it's only a matter of time. Min-jun took the coffee but didn't drink it. His eyes never left the 4th-floor window. How long has he been in Seoul? Flight records say 2 days, but he could have used a fake passport, could have been here a week. He knows where she works. Probably. Ji-woo studied his boss's profile. Are you planning to sit here until he makes his move? Yes. And then what? She doesn't want your protection. She quit, tried to disappear. For all you know, she's in there right now planning which bus station to hit first. Min-jun's jaw tightened. Because Ji-woo was right. The resignation letter he'd rejected meant nothing if she just walked out and never came back. He couldn't force her to accept his protection, couldn't make her stay, couldn't make her look at him the way he needed her to. She opened the door when I sent the letter back, Min-jun said quietly. Saw it, read it, didn't run immediately. That means something. Or it means she's waiting for you to leave so she can disappear properly. The coffee in Min-jun's hand was going cold. He set it down untouched. What's Volkov's approach pattern? Patient, methodical, he watches for days, learns routines, then makes contact in a controlled environment, usually poses as someone harmless, old friend, distant relative, wrong address neighbor, gets them talking, confirms identity, then Ji-woo made a slight gesture. They're gone. Morozov handles the rest. She won't fall for it. She's been running for 7 years. She knows the signs. Maybe, but she's also exhausted, alone, scared. People make mistakes when they're tired. Ji-woo paused. She made one already. She stayed at Eclipse long enough for both of you to find her. Min-jun's fingers drummed once against the steering wheel, a rare tell. He was calculating, planning. He'll approach tonight, after dark, when she's isolated, when she's... He stopped. The lights in apartment 4C had just gone out. 2:47 a.m. She'd been awake, packing probably, or planning, or sitting in the dark trying to figure out her next move. And now, darkness. 3 cars down, Victor Volkov's rental car door opened. Min-jun saw him immediately. Older man, long coat, moving with purpose toward the building entrance. Everything crystallized in that moment. Victor was making his move, right now, and Min-jun was still in his car, 3 floors down, with no way to get to her first without... He was out of the car before the thought finished forming. Ji-woo called after him. "Boss, what's the plan?" Min-jun didn't answer. He was already running. Zara's apartment was 22 steps from the front door to the window. She'd measured it 3 times since coming home from Eclipse. Escape routes. Always know your escape routes. The fire escape was rusted but functional. 4 floors down, alley exit led to a main street. Bus station 6 blocks north. Airport 40 minutes by taxi if traffic was light. She had $3,000 in cash taped under the bathroom sink. Fake ID, her 3rd one, hidden in a tampon box because men never looked there. She could be gone in 8 minutes. So why was she still here at 2:47 a.m. folding the same shirt for the 4th time? The footsteps in the hallway made her freeze. Not the usual sounds. Mrs. Kim in 4B shuffled. Mr. Park in 4D stomped. These were different, measured, deliberate, the footsteps of someone who was checking apartment numbers without wanting to look like they were checking apartment numbers. Her heart kicked against her ribs. The shirt fell from her hands. 7 years of this. 7 years of listening for the wrong footsteps, the wrong car idling too long, the wrong person asking the wrong questions. She moved on instinct, grabbed the kitchen knife, 8-inch chef blade, the only thing in this apartment worth the rent, backed against the wall beside the door where she couldn't be seen through the peer hole. The footsteps stopped, right outside 4C. Her breathing was too loud. She tried to quiet it, failed. Every muscle in her body screamed, "Run!" But there was nowhere to go. Window was across the room. The door was the only exit, and someone was on the other side, deciding whether to knock. Then a different sound, faster footsteps, running, someone taking the stairs 2 at a time. A voice in the hallway, low and urgent. "Walk away." Silence. Then another voice, older, accented. "I'm just looking for a friend." "You're not in the right building." "I don't think I am." "I know you're not. That's why you're leaving. Now." A long pause. Then the measured footsteps retreated. Slower this time. Controlled. Not scared, just reassessing. 30 seconds of nothing. Then a knock. Single strike. Urgent but controlled. Zara didn't move, didn't breathe. Another knock. Harder. She inched toward the peer hole, looked through. Black suit, sharp lines, that jaw she'd spent 3 weeks deliberately not looking at. Kang Min-jun. Her hand tightened on the knife. "Go away," she managed. Her voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. "I know you're awake, and I know he's here. You have 2 choices. Open this door, or I break it down." She pressed her back against the wall. "You can't." "You have 10 seconds. I don't." 9. "This isn't." 8. Her hand moved to the deadbolt before her brain caught up. Some part of her, that part that had been alone for 7 years, the part that was so tired of running, the part that remembered his hand wrapped around that man's throat defending her, made the decision. The deadbolt slid, the chain rattled, her hand turned the knob. The door cracked open, and for the first time since that night at Eclipse, Zara Williams looked directly at Kang Min-jun. Not through him, not past him, not at his collar or his shoulder or the wall behind his head. At him, his eyes, dark and dangerous and fixed on hers like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. "You opened the door," he said. It wasn't a question, but she answered anyway. "I opened the door." He stepped inside, locked it behind him, positioned himself between her and the window, and everything changed.
Her apartment was smaller than his closet, secondhand couch, thrift store coffee table, one lamp that cast more shadows than light. The kitchen was 3 feet of counter space and a hot plate. This was what 7 years of hiding looked like. Min-jun locked the deadbolt, the chain, then moved to the window and adjusted the blinds so no one across the street had a sight line. Zara stood frozen by the door, still holding the knife. "You can put that down," he said without turning around. "If I wanted to hurt you, I wouldn't have knocked." She didn't put it down. He finally turned to face her, took in the half-packed duffel bag on the couch, the folders of documents spread across the coffee table, passports, cash, bus schedules. She'd been planning her next disappearance with the efficiency of someone who'd done it before. "How long were you going to wait?" "For what?" "For him to knock, for me to leave, for whatever excuse you needed to run again." Her fingers adjusted on the knife handle. "I wasn't—" "You were packed by midnight. You've been sitting here for 3 hours trying to decide which direction to disappear in." His voice wasn't accusatory, just factual. "Chicago, Denver, San Francisco, Seoul. How many more cities before you realize running doesn't work?" Her breath caught. "How do you—" "I know everything, Zara, or whatever your real name is. Witness protection, Dmitry Morozov, Viktor Volkov tracking you across half the country. I know you saw a nerder when you were 19. I know you testified. I know they've been hunting you ever since." She took a step back, hit the wall. "Then you know why I have to leave, why I can't—" Her voice cracked. "He's found me in every city. Every time I think I'm safe, every time I let myself breathe, he finds me, and people around me get hurt. Maya doesn't know it yet, but she's in danger just from being my friend. You—" She finally looked at him, really looked, eyes meeting his deliberately. "You standing in my apartment right now makes you a target." "Good." The word hung there. "Good?" she repeated. "Are you insane?" "Possibly." He took a step closer. She didn't back away. "I've been a target my entire life. I've had politicians, rival gangs, federal prosecutors, and at least a dozen very motivated enemies trying to end me. I'm still here. They're not. This is different. Victor doesn't fail. He's been doing this for 20 years. He's one man. One very dangerous man. I'm a very dangerous man, too." Min-jun closed the distance between them. 3 feet, 2. "The difference is, I have resources he doesn't, money he can't match, people who owe me favors in every part of this city, and something he definitely doesn't have." "What?" "A reason to win." Her hand was shaking now. The knife wobbled. He reached out slowly, giving her time to move away, to refuse, and gently took it from her fingers, set it on the counter behind him. "Stop running," he said quietly. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You've been alone for 7 years. You've been invisible because visible meant dead. You've been running because staying meant they'd find you." His hand lifted to her face, stopped an inch away, waiting. "You're not alone anymore." Her eyes searched his, looking for the lie, the trap, the reason this was too good to be true. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. Because 3 weeks ago, I watched you pretend I didn't exist, and it drove me insane. Because you quit your job and walked away, and I couldn't let you disappear. Because when Ji-woo told me Victor Volkov was in Seoul, the first thing I felt wasn't concern for my business or my reputation. His thumb brushed her cheek. It was terror that he'd get to you before I could. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. You stay visible, with me, under my protection. Zara pulled back from his touch. That makes you a target. I've been a target my entire life. Difference is, I shoot back. Victor won't come at you directly. He'll wait, watch, find the moment you're distracted, the moment I'm vulnerable, and then he'll die waiting. She laughed, sharp and bitter. You think you're invincible? No, I think I'm better prepared than a 53-year-old tracker working alone in a city where I own half the police force and most of the criminals. He crossed his arms. Victor Volkov is good. I looked at his file. 12 successful extractions. Impressive. But he's never worked in my territory, never gone up against someone with my resources. Resources don't matter when I have 30 men I can call right now who die for me, another 100 who kill for the right price. I have access to surveillance systems across Seoul. I have contacts in immigration, customs, hotels, rental agencies. Victor rented a Hyundai Sonata yesterday at Incheon Airport using a Canadian passport, gray, license plate 37-GU4521. He's staying at a mid-range hotel in Gangnam under the name Michael Petrov, room 847. He ate dinner at a noodle shop on Tiran Row at 7:30 p.m. and made a phone call to a Moscow number at 8:15. Zara stared at him. You knew all of this and didn't what? Kill him? I don't know what he looks like yet. I don't know his patterns. And most importantly, Min-jun's voice dropped. I don't know if killing him ends this or if Morozov just sends someone else. He will send someone else. He always does. Then I'll handle them too. For how long? A month? A year? 5 years? Her voice cracked. I'm not worth starting a war with the Russian mob. That's not your decision to make. It's my life. And you've been dying slowly for 7 years. The words came out harder than he intended. He took a breath, softened. You've been surviving, barely, running from city to city, job to job, never staying long enough to have a real conversation, never making real friends, never using your real name. That's not living. That's just a slower way of being dead. She looked away. It kept me breathing. Breathing isn't enough. It is when the alternative is a bullet. The alternative is letting me stand between you and the bullet. Silence stretched. She walked to the window, looked out through the gap in the blinds at the empty street below. What do you want from me? She asked quietly. He could have lied, could have said something about needing information or leverage or a way to get to Morozov, strategic reasons, business reasons. Instead, he told the truth. I want you to stop disappearing. I want you to choose to be seen. He moved behind her, close but not touching. By me. The air between them felt electric. If I stay, her voice was barely audible, if I let you protect me, people will die. The right people. She pulled turn. They were inches apart. You say that like it's simple. It is simple. Victor Volkov came here to take you back to a man who wants you dead. I'm offering you a chance to stop running. The math isn't complicated. And when it's over, when Victor's gone, what then? Then you decide. Stay, go, disappear if that's what you want, but give me 1 week. Let me end this. And if you can't, then I let you go. No tracking, no following. You vanish and I don't look for you. She studied his face, looking for the lie, the trap. 1 week, she finally said. 7 days. If Victor isn't gone by then, I run, and you keep your word. Deal. I mean it. No matter what happens between now and then, I know what you mean. Do you really? She stepped closer, because the way you're looking at me right now suggests this isn't just about protection.
It's not. Then what is it? Honestly, his hand found hers. I have no idea, but I'm not walking away to find out.
Min-jun's penthouse occupied the entire 42nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul, marble everything, art that probably costs more than Zara had earned in her entire life. The living room alone was 3 times the size of her apartment. She stood in the entryway with her duffel bag, suddenly very aware of her wrinkled Eclipse uniform and the scuffed sneakers on her feet. "Security desk is on the ground floor," Min-jun said, punching a code into a wall panel. "Cameras on every elevator, every stairwell, every entrance. Private elevator opens only with biometric scan or my personal code. Victor would need an army to get up here. Or one bribed security guard. I own the building. I hired every guard personally. They're not getting bribed." She walked to the window. The city sprawled below like scattered diamonds. At this height, everything looked small, manageable, safe. "Guest room is down the hall," he said. "Private bathroom, lock on the door if you want it." "You're just going to let me stay here? Would you prefer a hotel? Because I own 3 of those too, but the security's not as tight." She turned. "This is insane. Yesterday I was your bartender. Now I'm what? Living in your penthouse? Under my protection, there's a difference." "Is there?" She dropped her bag. "Because from where I'm standing, this looks like I'm trading one cage for another." Cages have bars, locked doors, guards that won't let you leave. He moved to the kitchen, which was bigger than most restaurants, and poured water from a filtered tap. "You can walk out right now. I won't stop you. But Victor's still out there, and he knows where you were living." Past tense, were living, because that apartment wasn't safe anymore. Might never have been. She took the water glass he offered. "How long do I stay here?" "Until it's over." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." He loosened his tie. It was nearly 4 a.m. He'd been in that suit for over 24 hours. "Guest room is the second door. Towels in the bathroom. Kitchen stocked if you're hungry." She wasn't. Her stomach was a knot of anxiety and adrenaline and something else she didn't want to name. He started toward what she assumed was the master bedroom, then stopped. "Do you need anything to sleep in?" She looked down at her uniform. Bar smell, sweat, fear. "I have clothes in my bag. Those are for running, not for sleeping." He disappeared into his room, returned with a black button-down shirt. Silk. Probably costs more than her rent. "Use this." She took it. Their fingers brushed. Neither pulled away immediately. "Thank you," she managed. "Bathroom's through there. Take your time." He left her standing in the hallway holding his shirt like it was something precious. The guest bathroom had heated floors, rainfall shower, soaps that smelled like sandalwood and something expensive. She turned the water on hot, stripped out of her uniform, stepped under the spray. And then, for the first time in 7 years, she closed her eyes. Really closed them. No listening for footsteps, no planning escape routes, no calculating how fast she could get out if someone broke down the door. Just closed her eyes. Let the water run. Let her shoulders drop. She didn't realize she was crying until the tears mixed with the water and she couldn't tell the difference anymore. When she finally emerged, skin pink from heat, wrapped in his shirt that fell to mid-thigh, Min-jun was on the couch, suit jacket off, tie gone, shirt sleeves rolled, laptop open, working like it wasn't 4:30 in the morning. He looked up, saw her in his shirt. Something crossed his face, gone before she could name it. "Better?" he asked. "Yeah." Her voice was steadier than she expected. "Thank you." "Guest rooms? I know where it is." But she didn't move toward it, just stood there, barefoot, drowning in his clothes. Safe. "Good night, Zara." She almost corrected him, almost said, "That's not my real name," almost told him the truth. Instead, she just said, "Good night," and meant it. Sleep didn't come. Zara lay in the guest bed, which was more comfortable than any bed she'd slept in since witness protection began, and stared at the ceiling. Her mind wouldn't stop calculating exit routes, backup plans, ways Victor could get to her even here. At 4:30 a.m., she gave up.
pulled Min-jun's shirt tighter around her, and padded barefoot into the living room. He was at the window, still in his dress shirt and slacks, hands in his pockets, watching the city wake up in slow motion. Delivery trucks, early commuters, lights flickering on in distant buildings. "Couldn't sleep either?" she asked quietly. He didn't turn. "Sleep's overrated." She moved beside him, close enough to see their reflections in the glass. Two people who shouldn't be standing here together, who had no reason to trust each other, who were both too damaged to know how to trust. "It's beautiful," she said, "from up here. Everything looks better from a distance. Is that why you bought the top floor?" "I bought it because nobody can get above me. Strategy, not aesthetics." But his mouth quirked, almost a smile. "The view's a bonus." They stood in comfortable silence. Unusual. She'd spent 7 years avoiding prolonged contact with anyone, yet here she was, in a stranger's apartment, wearing his shirt, standing close enough to feel his body heat. "What's your real name?" he asked quietly. She should have deflected, changed the subject, kept that last piece of herself hidden. Instead, Amara Bennett. He turned to look at her. Amara. Hearing it out loud after 7 years felt like coming up for air after being underwater too long. "My mom chose it. Means eternal in Sanskrit. She thought it was poetic." A laugh that wasn't quite bitter. Ironic considering how temporary everything in my life became. "It suits you better than Zara." Zara was easier to forget. Generic, common. Amara stuck out too much. "Good. You should stick out." She met his eyes in the reflection. "Why did you build all this? The club, the empire, She gestured at the penthouse. All of it. Most people would have given her the surface answer. Power, money, respect. Min-jun was quiet for a long moment. "When I was 8, my father was killed by men who thought he owed them something. We had nothing. They took what little we had anyway. My mother worked 3 jobs and still couldn't keep the lights on." His jaw tightened. "I decided then that I'd never be powerless again, never be at someone's mercy, never have to watch someone He stopped. "Never watch someone suffer because I couldn't protect them." "So you became the most powerful person in the room." "In every room." "Does it work? The power. Does it make you feel safe?" "No." He finally turned to face her fully. "It just makes me dangerous." "That's not an answer. It's the only honest one I have." His hand lifted, hesitated. "I've never told anyone that before." "About your father?" "About why it still matters." Her throat tightened. "I've never used my real name in 7 years, never told anyone who I really was. It's dangerous. Every person who knows is another person who could slip, could mention it to the wrong person, could—" Amara. Hearing him say it stopped her breath. "Look at me." She did. Deliberately, not through him, not past him, at him, dark eyes that had watched her for weeks, that had refused to let her disappear, that were looking at her now like she was something worth seeing. "I see you now," she whispered. His hand cupped her face, warm, steady. She didn't flinch, didn't pull away. The space between them disappeared. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. Her hand found his chest, could feel his heartbeat. Fast, like hers. He leaned in. She tilted up. His phone shattered the moment. Loud, urgent. They froze, foreheads almost touching. He closed his eyes. "I'm going to kill Ji-woo." "Answer it." He did. "This better be—" Ji-woo's voice came through sharp and tense. "Boss, we have a problem. Victor just made contact with Eclipse. He's demanding to speak to Zara. Says if she doesn't meet him by tomorrow night, he starts killing people she knows." Min-jun's entire body went rigid. Define people she knows. He mentioned Maya by name. Zara's blood went cold.
"Maya doesn't know anything," Zara said. Her voice was ice. "She's a server. We barely talk outside of work." "Victor doesn't care." Min-jun put the phone on speaker. "Ji-woo, what exactly did he say?" "Called the club at 4:15 a.m. Night manager picked up. Man with an accent, Russian, he thinks. Said he was Zara's brother. Said there was a family emergency. Asked if she was working tonight. Manager said she quit. Then the guy left a message." Ji-woo paused. "Tell her I'm in Seoul. She knows what that means." Zara's hand pressed against the window. He's escalating. He never does this. He's patient. He waits. He doesn't. He's trapped, Min-jun cut in. He knows she's with me, knows he can't get to her directly, so he's forcing her out. It's working, Zara turned. I have to meet him. Absolutely not. He'll kill Maya. He'll kill anyone I've ever spoken to. That's how this works. He applies pressure until I have no choice but to. You have a choice. You stay here. I handle Victor. Handle him how? You don't even know what he looks like. I will by morning. I'll have every camera angle from Eclipse. I'll have face recognition running against every hotel in the city. He's gone by then. Her voice cracked. Don't you understand? He made contact. That means he's already moving to the next phase. If I don't show, Maya dies. If I wait too long, he disappears and starts picking off everyone I've ever been near until I have no choice but to surface. Min-jun crossed the room. So we give him what he wants. We set a meeting, controlled environment, my territory, my rules. You want to use me as bait? I want to end this. By putting me in a room with a man who successfully extracted 12 people from witness protection? By putting him in a room with 30 armed men he doesn't know about. She laughed, sharp, bitter. You think he'll come alone? You think he doesn't have backup, contingencies? I know he does. That's why I'll have more. This is insane. This is the only move we have, Min-jun's jaw set. Eclipse, tomorrow night, public setting. He can't make a scene, can't just grab you and run. He has to talk, negotiate. And while he's talking, your men move in. Yes. And if something goes wrong, if he's faster than you expect, if he has an exit strategy you didn't account for, that won't happen. You can't guarantee that. I can guarantee that if you don't show, he kills Maya. Then he kills the next person and the next until you're so buried in guilt you walk right into his hands. Min-jun moved closer. At least this way, you're not alone. At least this way, I'm bait. You're protected bait. That's supposed to make me feel better? It's supposed to keep you alive. Silence stretched. She paced, 3 steps to the window, 3 steps back, calculating, planning. I'll do it, she finally said, but not your way. Zara, Amara. My name is Amara, and if I'm walking into a trap, I'm doing it on my terms, she faced him. I meet him alone at Eclipse, but I wear a wire. I get him talking, I get him to admit why he's here, who sent him, what they want. You record everything. No. Then Maya dies. I'll protect Maya. You can't protect everyone I've ever known. Don't you get it? That's his strategy. He'll keep killing until I surface. The only way to stop it is to surface on my terms. Your terms get you dead. Your terms get everyone around you dead. You can't protect me and control me, Min-jun. You have to pick one. The words landed like a physical blow. He stared at her, this woman in his shirt, this woman who'd spent 7 years invisible, who was now standing in his penthouse telling him he couldn't save her the way he wanted to. One condition, he said quietly. What? You're not alone in that room. I'm there, visible, at the bar. He wants you, he goes through me. That defeats the purpose of, those are my terms. You want to do this your way? Fine, but I'm not watching you walk into danger from a security feed. His voice dropped. Dangerous. Not again. She studied his face, the rigid jaw, the barely controlled fury of a man being forced to compromise. Deal, she said. Tomorrow night, Eclipse. I end this. We end this. Fine, we end this. Neither of them believed it would be that simple. Eclipse looked the same as it always did. Gold and crystal, bass pulsing, bodies in expensive clothes pretending their lives were as perfect as their Instagram feeds. But tonight, the club was a chessboard, and Zara was the queen walking into checkmate. She sat at the bar, her bar, where this whole thing started, in a black dress Min-jun had provided. Simple, elegant, and wired with technology that cost more than most cars. Microphone in the neckline, tracker in her bracelet, panic button disguised as an earring. Min-jun was in his office 3 floors up, watching, waiting.
30 men scattered throughout the club in street clothes, security at every exit, snipers on rooftops across the street. It should have felt safe. It didn't. Viktor Volkov arrived at 9:47 p.m., older than she'd imagined, salt and pepper hair, expensive suit. He moved through the crowd like water, there but unremarkable, the kind of man you'd forget 5 minutes after seeing him, which was exactly why he was so dangerous. He sat 3 seats down from her, ordered vodka, neat, waited. She counted to 30, then moved beside him. You wanted to talk, so talk. He smiled, polite, almost grandfatherly. Hello, Zara, or should I say, Amara. Her blood turned to ice. 7 years, he continued conversationally. That's how long I'd been looking for you. Chicago, Denver, San Francisco. You're good at running, I'll give you that. Most people crack by the second city. What do you want? To bring you home. I don't have a home. You have unfinished business. Dmitry Morozov doesn't forget, doesn't forgive. You testified against him, made him look weak. He wants to correct that mistake personally. I'm not going anywhere. I thought you'd say that. Viktor took a sip of his vodka, calm, like they were discussing the weather. That's why I brought insurance. He raised his hand, subtle signal. Someone emerged from the crowd. Maya. Zara's heart stopped. Maya walked toward them with tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. Zara, I'm so sorry. What did you do? Zara's voice was barely a whisper. They have my sister in Manila. They said if I didn't tell them where you were, if I didn't help them, they'd... Maya's voice broke. I'm sorry. I didn't have a choice. Viktor stood. Your friend has been very helpful, confirming your schedule, letting me know when you quit, when you disappeared into your Mafia boyfriend's penthouse. Very thorough. Zara backed away. Min-jun. Can't help you. Viktor's smile widened. His right-hand man made sure of that. 3 floors up, Min-jun heard the words through the wire and moved toward his office door. It didn't open. He tried again. Locked from the outside. Ji-woo! He slammed his fist against the reinforced steel. Open this door! Silence. Then Ji-woo's voice through the intercom. Quiet. Regretful. I'm sorry, boss. They have my parents, my sister, everyone I've ever cared about. Morozov said if I helped them, he'd let my family go. If I didn't, he cracked, I couldn't let them die. Min-jun's blood roared. You betray me for the Russians? I betray you to save my family. There's a difference. Ji-woo! But the intercom went dead. Down in the club, Viktor extended his hand to Zara. Let's go, or I signal my men and everyone in this club dies. Your choice, their lives or your freedom. Zara looked at Maya, at the crowd dancing, drinking, oblivious, at the cameras she knew Min-jun was watching from. She found the lens, met it head on, held his gaze through the screen even though he couldn't reach her, mouthed, I'm sorry, then turned to Viktor. I'll go, but you let everyone here walk out alive. Deal. He took her arm, not rough, almost polite, like escorting a date. They walked toward the exit. Maya collapsed at the bar, sobbing. The club kept pulsing, kept dancing. Nobody noticed the woman disappearing into the night with the man who'd been hunting her for 7 years. And 3 floors up, Min-jun stood trapped behind a door, watching the woman he'd sworn to protect walk away, watching her choose to sacrifice herself, watching her disappear again. His roar of rage echoed through the empty office. But this was the plan all along, for her to be taken and make Viktor believe he's won. Wait, did you catch that? Min-jun and Zara just played Viktor Volkov, and when a predator thinks he's caught his prey, that's when he gets sloppy. Part 3 is going to be insane. Before you demand answers in the comments, and trust me, I know you have questions, do me this favor. hit that like button, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Part 3 is the finale, the moment everything either burns or becomes something beautiful. Subscribe, turn on notifications because Part 3 drops soon, and trust me, you do not want to miss how this ends. Thank you for being here, for riding this roller coaster with me. Your support means everything.